Okay, so what projects are you currently involved in?
So at the moment, we are promoting what we recorded from September up until about September last year up until about February this year. So we're currently working on getting the songs out for that project. In the end of the summer, towards the end of the summer, it's going to be a full EP release. But previous to that, I've had a couple of single releases. So in April, we had Out of Sight, Out of Mind come out, which is a single. And then in May 15th, so not too long ago, we had Ride the Waters come out. And they're 2 songs out of the 6 that are going to be on this EP. So we've been working hard to kind of push that and get that to as many ears and as possible. And at the moment, just kind of also with everything in lockdown, trying to write and emphasis on the trying, because for me, I write from catharsis and there's not too much happening at the moment for me because I'm sat behind 4 walls all day. So it's more challenging for me now to write than it was before the lockdown, which is a good thing because it's pushing me and it's making me build and grow even more as a creative. But aside from pushing the project that we finished, I'm just working on new material and seeing what comes out, really.
How do you come up with the names for your songs?
That's such an interesting question because a lot of people think of a subject or a title and write from that. But I literally, as I say, I just write cathartically. I just write to get emotions out, and it's my own form of therapy. And then I'll look at the song and I'll think, what is this message? What is going on here? And then I'll kind of summarize it with the title. That's usually the way it works.
Okay, that's great. So we're going to start with a few of the questions here that that I have here just pre-written in.
Okay.
So we're going to go back to it could be very early on in your life, so you might have to think a little bit. But
I love conversations like this anyway. I'm northern, I just talk all the time.
What was the first song that you remember hearing? Do you vividly remember hearing?
Edelweiss.
Really? Okay.
The Sound of Music.
Oh, and where did you hear it, or how did you hear
it? My mum was a major Sound of Music fan and still is, and we used to sit and watch it constantly when I was a little girl, which is kind of where a lot of my like musicalness came from. But then at night time she used to like sing me to sleep with Edelweiss, so it kind of linked the two together. So I always just remember that being the first song I sang, and the first song I heard, really.
Yeah. Wow.
Good question.
Okay, what's the first group you remember getting really into? Like maybe musician, or the first group you remember getting really into?
Avril Lavigne. Avril Lavigne. Okay. Let Go album in 2005, I want to say, or 6 maybe. Her Let Go album was amazing, and she's never written anything like it since. And a lot of it's obviously got to do with the like label she was with and her management team and stuff like that. But that was the most authentic Avril record I've ever heard, and I was so obsessed with that album. I'm still obsessed now.
Did you take on any of the? Did you like dress like her, or did you wear any t-shirts or anything like that?
Oh God, you're really digging deep now, Finn. Yeah. So I used to dress like a full-on mosher. I used to go, you wouldn't believe it looking at me now, like flowers and plants everywhere. But yeah, my mum used to take me to Stolen from Ivor, the shop, and I used to buy really baggy jeans with embroidered dragons up the side and metal chains as belts.
That's hilarious.
Because I wanted to be a skater girl. I wanted to be just like Avril Lavigne.
Did you ever skate at all then?
No. No. I adopted this like mosher walk.
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't do the skate, I just did the whole like skate girl martial walk.
yeah, yeah.
I was good at that.
There's two songs I know. The Skater Boy. Is there another one from that? A really famous one from that period? Like,
With you or complicated?
oh yeah, okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
They're all classics.
yeah.
Okay, so the next question is what's the first song you learnt on any instrument? It can be guitar or anything.
Wow. The first song, like pop song?
Any song. It can be
Kind of
anything.
song. Well, the first song I will have learnt will have been a classical piece on the piano when I was learning piano, but I was like 6, so I don't remember.
Okay. Maybe
The
one you
first,
enjoyed. The first one you enjoyed.
um, I think "Breakaway" by Kelly Clarkson.
Okay, nice.
Like that was like 2006
And on guitar.
on the piano.
Oh, piano. Okay.
Yeah, on the piano. I used to come home from school with my friend because I lived across the road from school, and we'd sit at the piano for hours, and I'd play the chords, and she'd sing with me. And there was Kelly Clarkson's album. There was Carole King's Tapestry, and there was one other album, like the songbook. But I do remember "Breakaway" was the first one that I learnt properly. And me and my friend were doing harmonies and everything, and we thought we were amazing. And my dad was probably like, "Shut up!"
Did you have like a book like full of songs that had all the chords in it, or it was
Yeah,
yeah, okay, yeah.
yeah. So I used to follow chord charts in the piano book, the piano songbook. And my mum, because she noticed that I was really enjoying singing, so she started to buy all these piano books, these songbooks of artists, so that I could sing and play at the same time. And that's kind of where it started to snowball from there, really.
And when did you start playing the guitar then?
About 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's very new, really. But funnily enough, I'm a lot more comfortable on the guitar than I am on the piano when I perform live or when I do anything to do with my music, simply because I feel like when you've got a guitar, you're holding a guitar, it's like your third arm. Whereas a piano is so external to you, it's like a box, and you're sat at this box and you're playing it. Yeah. Whereas a guitar, I feel like it becomes part of your body. So yeah, interestingly enough, I've been playing piano for years and years and years. But guitar is kind of more at home for me.
Do you, when people when they have learned their native language, let's say they speak French, and then they try to learn English, they always put everything through French then into English. Do you think that you put the piano in the piano first through the guitar, or is it gone the other way around? Or do you notice it?
I do notice how differently I am when I'm sat with each instrument. So with the piano, I'm far more theoretical.
Yep.
And I sit and I look at the piano and I map it out and I know it inside out. And that's far more strategic and, like I say, theoretical. Whereas when I sit with the guitar, I tend to play more from feeling and ear and what sits well with me. So that's why I tend to write more with the guitar as well, because it brings out, it's just a lot more authentic when I'm sat with the guitar. It just brings out all the emotions straight away instead of me thinking so theoretically about it beforehand.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go next. The next question is there an album that you can listen from start to finish, no problem, just that you enjoy all the songs in it and you just love listening to it?
Yeah, there's quite a few. But one that I can think of straight off is Lucy Rose's latest album, No Words Left.
Okay, I don't know it, but please explain why you can listen to the whole thing.
She is an incredible songwriter. She takes a lot of influence from Joni Mitchell as well. And the way she writes is it's very ethereal, it's very whimsical, it feels like it's from a different world. And you can sit and be doing anything, or you can be walking around, or you can be in town, you can be doing anything, and the music just seems to sit with me very well. she's an incredible songwriter. She's like guitar based. She's got all sorts of different instrumentation in there. She's got piano that she writes from. She's got classical guitar that she writes from, electric guitar, and then she has a lot of orchestral movement in her music as well, and fretless bass. Oh, I love fretless bass.
That's pretty.
But the way she writes, like her words and her lyrics, it's very much, it's storytelling, you know, and it's very personal to her. So you're kind of opening her diary and reading her diary when you listen to the album. And she's like that with all of her albums. But her latest one is my favorite up to date for her. Yeah.
And did you just, when you started it, you just couldn't stop listening to the songs on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she released a couple of singles first, and they were the kind of teasers. And when the single came out, I remember sitting on my bed. I turned it on the Sonos, and I just lay there and thought, oh my gosh, this is just incredible. It speaks to me. It's very I think her music's really powerful. You just can't stop listening.
And is there any album that you can remember that you heard, even if like the first song or whatever song on it, and you could have like knew instantly, oh god, okay, I'm gonna go into a new world of music now that I've never heard before?
When I heard Joni Mitchell's Blue album for the first time, which to be honest wasn't that long ago, it was less than 10 years ago when I heard it, and I was listening to all her different melodic movements and thinking, wow, where is she going with this? And I've never heard chord changes like this before. It's very raw. The way she composes her lyrics as well, it was just so imaginative, and she just paints pictures with her words. And as soon as I heard that Blue album, that's kind of hit me, and I was like, whoa, okay. But another one as well, when I was younger, I used to listen to a lot to was Carole King's Tapestry, and only when I got a bit older and started taking my music more seriously did I kind of come back to it and reference that and think, whoa, okay, Carole knows what she's doing. She knows, and I kind of took from that as well, and yeah, so there's a lot that kind of goes on in my brain with things like this, and so many things can affect me all at the same time. It's not even necessarily just one thing. It's not just one album. It's a collection of, but those two in particular really hit me. Yeah.
Amazing. Just keeping on the kind of the album track, is there an album cover that you can remember just falling in love with, or that was just, you just saw it and you went, wow, that's incredible?
An album cover, again, I have to say Joni's stuff, because a lot of it is kind of oil painting based. Like Hosie's new album cover, yeah. Love it, because it kind of brings everything to life instead of just kind of a digital print of something. It brings more life into the whole project, into the whole aspect of the music, because you would expect someone has sat and drawn that and interpreted the artist in a certain way, and that's what's come of it. And I just think that's incredible, anything oil painted. I really, really liked the Both Sides Now album cover. Yeah. Joni's, and also the Mingus album cover, when she did a collaboration with Mingus and they did an album. But again, it's all very oil painting based and things like that, and which is crazy because none of my covers are oil painted. But I mean, you know, maybe one day. Anything that's organic really is what attracts my attention more so.
Have you ever I'm a kind of serial offender when it comes to buying album t-shirts. I buy like t-shirts with album covers on it. Do you have any of those sort of clothing?
No, I haven't, you know. I have got merch. I've got like t-shirts and stuff, but I haven't ever bought an album cover t-shirt. I've bought like the poster and I've bought the vinyl and stuff like that and the CD, but I've never been a massive fan of artwork on a t-shirt.
Okay.
I don't know why, I feel like it just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't thrive as much. It doesn't kind of make my mind blow as much when it's on a t-shirt. Though, each to their own, Finn, so
Yeah, no,
I'm sure that fashion your t-shirts, it looks fabulous.
To be honest, I think they're more, the ones I buy are more just like, they're not album covers, they're like band merchandise, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to move away from music for a little bit, and we're going to go into film now. So is there a film that you can go to, or that you just rewatch over and over, or you just sort of, you can go to it, you like it, and you just watch it almost like a comfort film?
Yeah, this is an easy one. So I don't know if you've ever seen this film, but there's a film called Begin Again.
No, I haven't seen it.
Awesome film. And for some reason I can't actually remember who the main actors are, but I will let you know. But Begin Again is, I know them, I can see their faces, but I'm not good with names of actors. You know the Hulk?
Yep. Yeah.
It's the Hulk. He's the main actor. And you know the girl who is in Pirates of the Caribbean?
Is it Mark Ruffalo or?
Yes, Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
So Mark Ruffalo, and the girl who's in the Caribbean, the Pirates of the Caribbean.
What's her? I can see her face right now.
Isn't it annoying?
Is it Keira Knightley?
Keira Knightley.
Yeah.
So start again. Yeah. So there's a film called Begin Again with Mark Ruffalo and Keira Knightley. They star in it, and it's a music-based film. So a girl goes to New York, and Adam Levine's in it as well from Maroon 5. And it sounds a bit cheesy. That sounds like a bit of a cheesy lineup, but the film is really good. It's basically about a girl who writes songs, and Mark Ruffalo is a producer, but a failed producer and engineer. And he sees her play one day in an open mic in New York, and she's about to leave to go back to the UK. And things have gone wrong with her boyfriend and stuff like that. And then she plays this song, and he is everything else. So she sat with the guitar. It's such an incredible scene. And all the instruments behind her start to come alive and move. And like his mind, like what's happening in his head and the production that's happening in his head as he listens is happening on the screen. And it's just such a good film. And it's basically about the process that they go through, and the project that they do together. And they record an outdoor album with all of her songs around New York. And it's just, every time I watch that film, I write a song afterwards.
Oh, class.
Every time. So I should probably watch that film to help me write a song, really, shouldn't I?
How many times do you think that you've watched it at this stage?
Oh my God, like 7-8 times. And I've not even known the film that long. Yeah, because I'm not a massive TV person or movie person. So if I watch a film more than 3 times or 2 times even, that's saying something for me, really. Yeah, I watched it for.
Okay, well, these ones might be, no, they're not actually, they're not that difficult. It's just, if you haven't watched a lot of films, it might be tricky, but
hit me anyway, go on.
Okay, a film that you thought that you would hate, but you actually loved.
A film that I thought I'd hate, but I actually loved. I thought that I would hate, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but The Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah.
I thought I'd hate it because it's a bit weird and scary.
Yeah.
But I ended up really loving it. And that's not normal for me, because it's a bit graphic and a bit strange, and I'm not into that kind of thing. But I thought it was really good, for all the boring reasons of like the fact that it teaches you so much about the Civil War, and you know, it's got this weird fantasia kind of thing going on with that weird fawn and the eyes and hands, and yeah, but I thought I'd hate that. I had to watch it for my A-level Spanish, and I had to do a write-up about it and stuff and talk about it and that. And I thought, oh gosh, this is going to be so rubbish. I'm going to be so bored. And it was awesome. I loved it. I can't think of this at the moment. Probably some wartime films that my dad had made me watch. And then I thought, this is rubbish. And then I've actually enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think it is very funny how we judge something basically on even what we just see it, even if it's the name and the first image we see of it. And we think, oh God.
It is interesting, isn't it? That's why I find doing artwork so hard for my songs.
Yeah. Why?
Everyone's gonna think something different when they see it, and you just
okay, yeah. Well, I suppose you can't make art to please other people.
No, I like that. That's very cool.
Okay, is there a film that when you see it or you hear about it or whatever it is, it reminds you of your childhood?
Sound of Music.
Sound of Music. Okay.
no pause, no pausing. The Sound of Music for sure. I mean, I know every word to every song, and I'm absolutely in love with I think it's Christopher Bell, who was the actor. Even though I was like 4 when I saw it, and he was like 50, I was still in love with him. Yeah, I don't know how normal that is, but yeah, I just loved The Sound of Music. I still do.
Yeah.
But that is the one that really reminds me of my childhood.
Yeah.
Probably any Disney film. 101 Dalmatians, the original.
Yeah, they're pretty. Which, sorry? The Jungle
Book.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think they're pretty. This weird thing, Disney has like a monopoly on childhood.
Literally, it's crazy. Oh yeah, and Ship Down as well. That was a good one when we were kids.
What was it?
Ship Down.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Is it Disney or no?
No, it's not. You know.
Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't. I don't know what that was. I don't even think it was Pixar.
Did you ever watch any of those kind of 60s and 70s BBC children movies? You know, there's like one of them has Jodie Foster in it. It's like they're during the war and they escape. They go down to the countryside.
Yeah, The Railway Children.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Is that the one? I love that film.
Yeah.
It's such a good film.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Good thinking.
Okay, is there a film that you enjoyed more in cinema than you did at home?
The Marvel films. I always enjoy them more at the cinema than at home because you just get more of an experience.
Yeah.
When you're kind of watching it from your MacBook, you've not really got the sound coming around, and it's not the same.
Yeah.
Still amazing, but not quite as good.
And what do you think that is? Do you think it is the sound, or do you think is it the volume, or is just the whole experience?
I think it's the whole experience. It's kind of all those little bits put together creates this mix, this kind of energy and it's cheesy as synergy, you know, and it's a bit more of a big deal when you watch it at the cinema and you pay for your ticket and you've prepared your drinks and your food and you know you're sat and you're ready and you're totally invested both financially and physically into this event. So I think it's kind of the whole experience. It's not the same as sitting on your bed with a piece of toast watching it from your MacBook, is it? You know. Is there a snack and a drink or like a sweets that you go to when you go to the cinema? Do you have like a go-to? These are brilliant questions. I love these questions. I really enjoy eating a bit of chocolate, just a bit. And I'm really boring, so I tend to get water.
Okay.
But if I ever feel a bit crazy, I'll go with a bubbly drink.
Okay.
Non-alcoholic.
You can use brand names here. It's okay. You don't have to. There's no copyright.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I'll have like a Coke.
Okay.
Yeah. Or like a Sprite or something, or like a cherry aid. Push the boat out with a cherry aid.
And what about chocolate? What chocolate is the go-to?
Minstrels.
Minstrels. Okay.
Always Minstrels.
They're pretty good.
No other option.
Okay, now we're going to go on to books. I know some people don't read very much, and I'm not the biggest reader, but I still have read enough books to answer these questions, so I think everyone
Okay,
can be
cool.
okay. So this is kind of like the album one, and it's a book that you started to read and then you just couldn't stop reading it.
Oh gosh, that's quite a few. I'm actually looking at my bookcase now to see. The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. That was an incredible book. Couldn't stop reading that. And On the Road was another one. That's a really good one by Jack Kerouac.
Yeah.
Goodness me. I was reading a book recently called Still Life, and that's Kate Atkinson. No, it's not Still Life. It was Life After Life. I'm mixing the titles up of the book I'm reading now, the book I've just read. Life After Life by Kate Atkinson. I've just read that one, and that one was awesome. It's like a Bible. It's really big, but it was just always something different happening. That's a really good read. Yeah, I do like my books. I'm currently reading a book called Still Alice.
Oh yeah.
It was a film about, well, I don't know when it was filmed, about 10 years ago. A friend of mine wanted to start reading again during the lockdown, and she said, I'm not very good at like disciplining myself and reading. So I said to her one day, I said, okay, well, let's do like a book club on a Saturday or something, and let's choose a book. And I said, do you want to choose a book that was a film and that you've seen already, because then you might be more likely to read it? She said, oh, good idea. So I said to her, well, in my bookcase, I've got a book called Still Alice. I've not read it yet, not seen the film. Do you want to read that one? And she's finished it before I am. It obviously worked.
What did you think about because the Kite Runner, it was made into a film afterwards, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And what did you think of, did you see the film?
Yeah, I saw the film. I don't know about you, but I always prefer to read the book before I see the film, because I always think that the book serves more than the film does. I feel like I was having a conversation with someone not too long ago, and they were talking about music videos, and it's very similar to a song. So a song and then a music video for that song is very similar to a book and then the film of the book. So I feel like the film can be quite intrusive to the reader, because it creates, okay, this is character A and this is character B and this is what they look like and these are the clothes they wear, and like this is the color of their eyes and stuff like that. And I think that reading the book is better before watching the film, because otherwise, I don't know, when I started to read The Time Traveler's Wife about 5 years ago, and I'd already seen the film, and I started to read the book, and all I could see was those characters in the film, and I just didn't enjoy it. I wanted to create my own image of those characters. So yeah, I think I would always read a book before watching a film. I don't know about you.
No, I think I'd watch a film first, but I think that's just because I'm a bit more visual in terms of, or like I like hearing things. I work a lot through my ears, so sometimes books I do read them, but I tend to read more books that are informative rather than like a fiction or something like that.
Yeah.
But so you think that it's your own imagination of the characters and the story and creating your own world with the book that makes it really interesting, and when the film is made, then someone else has sort of superimposed their idea of the book, and then you have to like watch it. Is that what you struggle with in the like, adaptations?
Yeah, I just feel that they're almost intruding on my imagination, and I don't like it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean,
please.
they should ask, access permission first. Okay, here's a book that you wished that you wrote yourself.
Ooh, that's a really good one. A book that I would myself. These are really good questions. They make you think.
That's good.
Goodness me. I do wish that I'd written Life After Life, because that's an incredible book, but that's just in my mind's eye because I've read it recently. I'm sure that there's going to be so many more. I'm sure there's so many more. Unraveled, that was a really good book. That was to do with Auschwitz, and it was about the two twins that were basically experimented on by the horrific Nazi surgeon that was. I can't remember his name. I'm kind of glad that I don't remember his name. That was a really good read. Gosh, I think though, yeah, because it's in my mind's eye because it's right there because I've just read it, but definitely Life After Life. So well written. And very, very imaginative, the way that she's written it. Really imaginative, very creative. So I'll be reading another one of her books.
I'm just going to fix this curtain thing here. It's bothering me. Okay. I have that sorted. So what is the quality, or what is the thing that it does that you wish you could emulate, or that you wish that you wrote it? Is there a particular style, or what is it?
So she writes it's very there's a lot of imagery in there, so you can almost, sometimes when I read a book I find it hard to imagine the surroundings and imagine the characters and imagine the way they speak and everything, but the way that this woman writes, she's so descriptive in her writing that there is no possibility for you to not see or feel or hear something when you're reading the book. And this particular writing style that she had, it was almost like time lapse. So basically the main character lives through her life like 10 different times, and the book weaves within each of those lives, and within each of those lives there are references to another one of her lives. It's very kind of time-lapsey, time travel vibe, but not quite as extensively as, like, for example, The Time Traveler's Wife, where there is a literal human person who is narrating his own book as a time traveler. This character in this book, it's far more ambiguous, and you think, is she time traveling or is she not? We're not quite sure. Or has she been here? Has she just lived another life before? Like, what is this? Very, 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 very descriptive and very clever the way she's planned it all out.
Amazing. That was a great description. So this is again sort of similar to an earlier question, but is there a book cover that made you read the book that you wouldn't have otherwise read?
Oh, I keep looking. It's quite handy. My bookcase is like right behind you.
Yeah.
Oh goodness me. There's so many. One a very weird book cover was The Wasp Factory.
I don't know, but it sounds good.
Yeah, that's weird. I mean, obviously, there's all different covers for all different, depending on which publication you go with and stuff. But I can't remember which publicist they're with unless I actually have a look on the bookcase. But this was a really weird book by Ian McEwan, and it's just very bizarre. And the cover it's a bit obscure. It's all in black and white, but it's quite obscure, and you can't really figure out what the image is and what it's trying to tell you. So it kind of draws you in, because you kind of want to find out more.
Yeah.
Quite a strange book, but a very good read. So it worked. The whole idea of the cover, it worked because I picked the book up and I read it. So yeah, a really obscure image, really obscure. I could find it out. I could find it and send it to you.
Okay, great. That's class. Okay, so this can be a story, it can be a book, it can be a film, or it can be a song. It's just generally it's a story. So it could be a story and lyrics. But is there a story that captured your imagination and either made you want to write your own stories, or you just felt like you were in that story so much?
It was a song, and it was Lucy Rose. I keep mentioning all the same artists, but Lucy Rose, her album Something's Changing, there was a song called Is This Called Love? And when I heard that, I almost felt like she was talking to me, which is so amazing that an artist can do that. I honestly felt like she'd written it for me. And it was about 3 years ago when I heard the album. And it made me want to write like that, and kind of try and speak to people and give a message that is from my life and pass it on to someone else and say, okay, this is part of life, you know, and these are the questions that we have about life, and the misconceptions of certain things, and lack of understanding of others and things like that. So that song, yeah, Is This Called Love, from Lucy Rose's album Something's Changing.
Class. This is more life now, not really like art. But I suppose they're all the same thing, so it's okay. Is there a moment of like wonder you can remember in your life, like just you're just completely in awe of something?
Gosh, these are such good questions.
It can be anywhere. Huh?
Because when you think about the answers, it's like life flashes in your eyes and you think, oh my goodness. That I was in total awe of something. Yeah, God, too many things. I lived in Rome for a year to study jazz in the jazz school right in the centre of the city. And I went with a friend to this kind of like a speakeasy place, but it wasn't speakeasy, but it felt that intimate and that secret. And it was a jazz night, and they do it every Thursday. Only the locals know about it in the city. And these musicians came out of nowhere and played for 2 hours. And I was blown away. I've never seen jazz like that before, because it seemed so organic, and it felt like they were just having a conversation, and like they'd been doing this for years. And there were some really young people on the stage there as well, some older geezers as well. But it just looked like water. It just looked so pure, and it just flowed so well. And I was in total awe the whole night. Like, I don't know if you've ever meditated before.
Yeah.
But you literally can't feel your body because you just don't move. When you meditate, you're so still, and you just go into weightlessness. And that's the closest thing to weightlessness I've ever felt watching music.
That's amazing.
It was incredible.
That's pretty much exactly what I was going for in terms of the question. That's great.
Oh, amazing.
So this is a similar one, but it just has a little variation, and it's a moment in nature that you remember vividly.
Gosh, well, I'm a massive fan of nature. Massive. And if you're not a fan of nature, then it's very strange. In my opinion, that's very strange. One thing about nature is that and something that I remember very vivid is, from a young age, I really liked insects and little animals and just anything. I didn't like to kill anything or stamp on anything, apart from mosquitoes. That's the only thing that I'm happy to kill. But from a young age, I always found myself very concerned with the life of a snail.
Okay.
And for some reason, I always used to sit with snails and like feed them leaves, and every time, I live in a complex now, and every time it rains, when it rains, as to quote Paramore, the snails come out, and they're on the pathway, and I'm like, guys, you're gonna get destroyed. People are gonna stand on you. So I'm always the crazy person in my complex who like walks around picking up all these snails and putting them on the sides of the pathway so they don't get squashed. That's kind of like a non-spiritual answer. And then my most spiritual moment with nature. I don't know if you've ever done this. I sound like a crazy person, but I don't know if you've ever like hugged a tree.
Yeah, loads of times.
Oh, there you go. Okay, I feel totally normal now, because that answer can go either one way or the other. Someone can go, what? Or they can go, yeah. Every time I touch a tree, I feel this energy and this kind of peace. And for nature, if you want to connect with nature, just touch a tree. Just put your hand on a tree, or hug a tree, or just somehow like lean against a tree or something.
That's great. That's so true. It's a very on the snail thing, are you like anti-French then? Are you not a big fan of the French?
I'm vegetarian, so definitely not.
I have this. I feel incredibly bad when I step on a snail, and you can hear it as well.
Oh, it's
the shells crack. It's not good fun. Okay, the next one is about art now, as in like paintings or sculpture. So, and is there a piece of art that you look at quite frequently, or that you like to revisit?
I have to say, I'm not an arty person.
Okay.
So when you mentioned that you were going to talk about art, I didn't really want to look up anything and think, oh, what can I talk about? What can I talk about? Because I'm not an art person. I appreciate art, and that's probably as far as it'll go. Like, I've never been, when I see someone else draw, or I see someone else paint or create or sculpt something, I think, wow, like that's a talent. That is something you've worked hard at, and that is a craft. But I've never been to an art gallery like this, the Tate Gallery in London here. When I go to the Tate, I go with a friend, and she loves it there, and she just feels so at home and at peace. But it's so interesting to see her reaction to art and my reaction to art, which is really interesting, because I suppose as an artist myself, and like a creative, you'd expect me to find some sort of connection with sculptures and with paintings and things, but I don't have that feeling. When I have more of that feeling when I look at a flower. To me, that's art.
Yeah.
You know, because I think, wow, like that is so complex. That tiny little thing is so complex, and it's gorgeous and it's amazing. And I'm sure that other people think that about sculptures and paintings, but I've never fully, I've appreciated them, but I've never felt a connection towards art.
Is there a painting that you can remember even passing and being like, oh, it's pretty cool?
Yeah, but I won't be able to name it.
Okay.
And I won't be able to tell you. I mean, when I first moved to London, I went to the National Gallery, and it was lovely. I really enjoyed it, walking around. It was really quiet, and you could sit and you could admire the paintings. But I got up and I left, and it didn't affect me in any way.
Okay, yeah.
So that's when you know that it's not your thing.
For this question, you can use music, or you can else something else if you can't, because this one is meant to be like a painter or an artist. But if you can't think of one, then just think of someone else, like an artist in general. But the question is just an artist that shares a similar outlook or style of the world as you.
Such a good question. All these questions are so good. An artist that shares a similar or the same outlook on the world as me.
Yeah.
Can I use Joni Mitchell? Because she's actually, before anything else, she was an artist.
Yeah.
She's probably the one artist that I really connect with, but I think it's because I connect with the music first.
Yeah, that's no problem. Yeah.
She has drawn so many different paintings. A lot of the time, basically, the paintings that she draws are her artwork. They turn into her artwork. But she draws like images of people, and she draws pictures as well, like paintings of landscape and of strange, obscure things. She drew a picture of Leonard Cohen once, and it felt like she wasn't drawing a picture of Leonard Cohen as everybody else sees him. She was drawing it as she was seeing him right there and then. And it's like, it wasn't Leonard Cohen, it was just a guy with a guitar writing a tune. That's what I like about art, when it basically, a piece of art isn't what they want you to see, it's more what they see, and you see it as you will. The viewer sees it as they will. That's what I appreciate about art. But yeah, I mean, that would be the closest answer that I have to the question. As long as the art is what you see and what you want the world to see through your eyes, not through their own, then that's art to me.
Amazing.
That's art.
Um,
an obscure answer.
There's we've 3 more questions, and these ones generally just relate to they're maybe more philosophical in nature. So a country that you'd like to live in, and why would you like to live there?
I'd love to live in Italy. Because first of all, it's like the perfect place to grow the most amazing tomatoes.
That is true.
I'll go with the good old tomato.
I have experience of it, so
Huh?
I don't have any experience of it, but I'll take your word for it.
Oh, the best tomatoes I've ever eaten in my life. And it's surrounded by sea. I know that we are in the UK, but I mean, it's a bit different.
You mean warm sea?
Exactly. Yeah. Warm, clear sea.
Yeah.
The mountains, they've got mountains there. There's the countryside. There's the city. They kind of have everything in one place. They've got history surrounding them. Like when I lived in Rome, I basically felt like I was living in an outdoor museum. It's just so crazy, the history there. I'd really love, for a period of time, to maybe live somewhere like New Zealand, because I feel like the way the more so because of the landscape in New Zealand baffles me. It feels a little bit like I don't know, it feels a little bit Japanese. It feels a little bit Australian. It also feels a little bit like the you know, kind of like the mountain range, the Alps and stuff. And you just think, where the hell am I? Yeah. I'd love to experience that and be in 5 different places all at the same time. Yeah, New Zealand would be a cool place to live for a period of time, I feel like it's a very zen place to live as well.
Absolutely.
I'd like that. I don't want to live in the US.
Is there a particular period in time that you would love to go back and live in?
Gosh. I think my childhood, from when I was like a little tiny tot to probably when I was about, I mean, I feel like the ages between 3 and 7 were pretty hot shot. You know, that was like prime time for Francesca. That was my time between the ages of 3 and 7. 4 years.
Yes. They are pretty good years. They are peak experience.
Yeah, because I think everything was just a breeze, and I'd like just sit and play the piano, and I'd watch films, and I'd go out for, I'd love to be outside and play out in the garden with my dog, and like bury things in like those weird sand pits and not be bothered about eating crap in the sand pit. And yeah, other than that, I would say back to when I was living abroad, because I learned so much about myself that year as well when I was away, and I grew a lot because I mean I had to. I lived in a city where I didn't know the language, and I had to learn the language. I had no choice. I learned so much about music and culture, and I became more independent and just I grew a lot. So I'd love to live that. I'd love to live it, but I'd live it exactly the same I'd relive it. I wouldn't redo it. I'd just relive it.
Relive it. All right.
Yeah.
Is there a person alive at the moment that you'd really love to speak to?
Is there a person alive at the moment that I'd love to speak to?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean like that you don't like talking to people. I mean, like, as in, is there one person who is alive, who's currently alive anywhere in the world that you'd love to get the chance to speak to?
I'd love to talk to Barack Obama.
Oh, okay.
I'd love to.
Why do you think? Why is that?
He's such an intelligent man, and he knew where he was going. Like, he knew where he was headed to before he got there. And you can tell, like, he was so driven despite everything from his, like, from not necessarily his past, but potentially his family's past and his heritage and stuff. And the fact that he, despite probably all the dream breakers and things, he pushed and he knew exactly where he was going to go, and he got there. And he's such an incredible man, in my opinion. And at the same time, I'd love to talk to Michelle Obama. She would be amazing.
Well,
she's an intelligent woman. Yeah,
with the you can meet the two of them. It doesn't have to be one person.
Yeah, I think that'd be better, like 2 in 1. The whole family. Why not? Bring the kids.
Like, they are kind of connected anyway. I feel like you couldn't meet one without meeting the other.
Yeah, they are very much like that, aren't they? Yeah, they are very much like that. It's kind of like, you know, if you meet David Beckham, you're going to end up meeting Victoria as well.
I agree.
Not that I don't think I'd know what to say to them. I'd be like, oh, see.
All right.
Good football. Great.
Okay, this is the last question. This is the biggie. Well, in my mind anyway.
Okay.
Is there a person that's dead that you would like to get to meet? And then the final part of that question is, where would you meet them? So a location, like, what would you be doing?
Oh, these are so good. Really do dig into the minds of these people, right, when you're interviewing them. The thing is I'm going to kick myself later, because all of these questions, I could have other answers as well. But it's like...
Yeah. But it's the initial answer. That's the important thing. I know there's millions of answers. I mean, I could answer it in a million different ways, but...
Yeah. The first person that came to my head was Prince.
Okay.
I'd love to have met Prince. And, like, picked his brains about the way he writes music, and the fact that he was, like, a multi-instrumentalist and he played everything. I'd love to know, you know, and I'm sure that there's answers to this on interviews from the past all over the interweb archives. But I'd love to know at what point, or if at any point he decided he'd mastered an instrument. Because I don't think, it's so hard to turn around to yourself and say, yeah, I've mastered that, especially with music. But he was such a confident performer that you can't help but think, yeah, he was a master of all of those instruments. Like, he is the man. I'd have loved to have met him at his studio and just played loads of songs and played tunes with him, and have him record my songs and then me sit and watch him record his. Yeah, he was the first person that came to my head when you said that.
That's great. That's
in the studio, drink coffee, say no if he offered me drugs. And just write, yeah.
Yeah, he's a pretty incredible. I just watched that Purple Rain music video the other day. I always just get goosebumps. I always just feel like, whoa, he's pretty incredible.
It's the fact that song, the Purple Rain, the fact that he just recorded it live and that was it. He was like, so I'll just do it as it is. And you can just hear everything in the background, and amazing. That's art to me. That is art. That's just like 100% amazing. Okay, well, this great. Thank you very much. No problem. That's the questions. I'm just going to click stop record. So, okay. All right.